Hey everybody, Sue here at Sands Company Jewelers. Just thought I would give you a little mini lesson on how to identify if your jewelry is real or not. Some people are inheriting pieces and they just don't know if it's genuine or not. Some people want to be garage sailing and hopefully get that good deal. So there's a couple of little tricks that can help you identify if it's real or not. I have a magnet, and I'll show you why that's a little helpful thing. And I did show you how to use the loop. Not everyone's going to have a loop. I totally get that. It's a staple for what I do. But you can use a magnifier, and this will help you. I know my eyes have changed a lot of the last few years, and the magnifiers are very much a big help for me. So today I thought I would start out with chains and bracelets because that's an easy place to start. This could get really long, so I'm thinking I should just cut all of this up into little segments. So I might spread it over like 4 different segments, just so it's just not long because that's kind of bogus and boring sometimes. So I'll start out with the magnet. So gold and silver are not magnetic. So pieces like steel, like my watch right here, as you can see, is steel. And so the magnet is attracted to that, as we all know. This is first grade stuff. However, here I'm going over my white gold just to prove to you that it is not sticking to it. And I even have a silver chain. It's not sticking to it. But right away, did you notice? That's actually the clasp is what was attracted to this magnet because there's actually a little silver, not silver, sterling, not sterling. There's a steel spring in there, and that's what that is attracted to. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, maybe it's not really silver, maybe it's not really gold, because I even have a gold piece right here, and then the clasp, you could see, why would the clasp not be gold? The clasp is gold, it's the steel spring inside of there. So that really can throw people, and it's very helpful. I do have a piece here that's costume. So right away you can see it's attracted to it. This whole piece is costume. It's magnetic. It's made out of a base, we call it like a base metal. It's just a generalization. We don't know what that metal is, but it's a base metal. It's not anything precious. So that's like a brief overview of why I use the magnet. That is helpful for us. We don't use it too often because it's amazing. You think that you don't know what, hey, is it gold or not? You are actually intuitive and you can look at something and know right away if it's gold or not. Like sometimes I'll just put something in my hand and go, okay, it feels right. You look at it, and if it looks wrong, it is wrong. I actually have this is a cute little pin, but as soon as I see this from even this distance, I could tell right away that it's a rhinestone. It's glued in. There's no prongs. The color is actually pretty genuine to gold, but right away I can tell it's not gold. Even the weight isn't correct. But we are going to start out with the chains and bracelets because it really is easy to identify. And each kind of clasp is what I'm going to show you because the stamps are in all little different sneaky little places, but they're common places. So I have, and I'll take pictures so that you could see details of this. This is a hidden box clasp and it clicks into place. A lot of times they call this a tongue, this little plunger. This is a tongue, and a lot of times there's actually a stamp on the tongue. This particular one, it isn't on there, so I look to the other side, and the box part of this does have the stamp, and it's very easy. I don't even need the loop for this. It's a big stamp. It says 14 karat. So that's a very common place to find on the plunger of this kind of a bracelet. This also is a hidden box clasp, but it's a little bit different, and the plunger's on the side, and it actually has a figure eight safety clasp on it. A lot of times, actually on the figure eight is where I'm going to find that stamp. Again, this one actually is on the hidden box clasp part of it. It says 14 karat on there. There's not too many places that actually are so fraudulent that they'll put a stamp on it. I'm looking for anything, any kind of stamp. It's tricky because you'll see 14K and then some letters after it sometimes. And a lot of times that's the manufacturer's mark. Like we actually put Sans stamp on all of our custom items because, hey, we're proud of it. We want to put our name on that thing. You'll see it Tiffany. I mean, as soon as it says Tiffany, I mean, it's exorbitantly more expensive because it says Tiffany on there. You know you want your name on there. So another piece that I have, this is a toggle type clasp, and this threads through there. A lot of times on the bar up here is where it is. Sometimes it's on the other end, but not typically. And I was actually looking at this before I even started the video, and I had a really hard time. Sometimes you really have to search for that little stamp. And I'm just going, okay, I see a little something, and I actually can't read it. It really is too far away. So I am using my loop, and remember I showed you before I have my little tripod, and I look at it, and it definitely is stamped 925. So that's sterling silver on that piece, but that's where you'll usually find the stamp on that one. Another one that I have, this is a white gold chain. So this one actually has what they call a chain tag. It's a square. It's usually square, can be round, but it actually, I see right away that there's writing on there. There's a stamp on there, but I, again, can't read it because it's too fine for me at this point. So I bring the whole thing up together, and it says 14K, and it actually has some other letters behind it. That's probably the manufacturer, and it also says India, so that's where it was made. So that's so you'll look for the chain tag, and that's where, that's an easy one. Usually you can read it with your eyes without magnification. There's another one. These actually have end tabs. So I have the clasp and then the end tab instead of just a jump ring. And I can see writing on there. And the stamp is deep enough that I can actually feel it with my fingernail. And this says MDE something or other. So that's the manufacturer mark. This side says Italy. I'm surprised it doesn't have a 14 karat stamp on there. So I'm going to actually look at the other side. And again, it says GS on the other side. I'm still searching for this 14 karat stamp. It's really pretty. And there is a stamp, and it says 417. So you're like, what in the world is 417? If you saw the other video about how karat works, 417 actually stands for 10 karat gold, which really throws people. And it's like, why can't you just put 10 karat on there instead of the numerical equivalent of what it is? It really actually makes me very angry because it really throws a lot of people. And so if you are garage sailing or going to have a garage sale, and you're like, well, I don't see any karat stamps on this, and you put it out thinking it's nothing, well, it is. It's 10 karat, and this is actually a really heavy chain. So you don't want to give it away for 25 cents, that's for sure. But there is one more place on this that I can look, and this is a lobster style clasp, and they're spring rings, and it's going to be a very similar thing. There's something, this little trigger actually triggers the tongue, that's what we call that, and when you really look at it, you can actually see that there's a little stamp in there. Again, hard to see, so I have my loop, and it does say 10 karat. 99% of these kind of clasps will actually have that stamp on that tongue. So that's usually the first place I'll look. And then I go to the end tabs and look at the whole piece that way. It's very interesting. So I have one more kind of clasp I can show you today, and this is basically a Purl clasp. This happens to be a lapis piece that my husband gave me before we were married. I think it's the second piece he actually gave me, with the gold beads. It's really very, very sweet. I wore it so much that I actually need to restring it. It is time to restring it. But we have you'll see this is a very common filigree type clasp. And here is this Purl clasp. And the stamp is going to be on the plungy thing. And it definitely is 14 karat, but you'll find it again on the clasp. That's kind of nice to know. This is a watch, and what's different about this one is that this part on the back is actually a steel back. I can actually read this one, stainless steel back, but it also says sterling silver case. So that's nice. Most watches really are all stainless steel and not necessarily silver or gold. But again, I can even look at this bit. This is a really big spring ring. This is a very nice and easy to use. But again, when I pull the trigger and that tongue right there, it actually does have 925 stamp on there. So again, that just shows you that that's the typical place to find it. This one is our costume piece, and the tongue is a little different on this, but I'm looking at the chain tag. There's no stamp on this whatsoever. There's not even a maker's mark or anything. I would expect this a little bit closer, but we already did our magnet test and it's magnetic, so I know not to even bother looking for a stamp because it's not going to be gold. I do have another watch actually. It's quite lovely. And this one is 14 karat. So it's actually on the back of the watch, and it's 14 karat gold, and it says solid. So that does let me know that it is most likely solid gold. Sometimes I'll see something that says 14 karat rolled gold. That's actually a very heavy, it's more than plating, it's actually a plate. If you think about your tables and furniture, and they laminate it, the inside is not that great of wood, but they have a nice wood laminate on top. That's what rolled gold is. It's actually a veneer. I couldn't think of the word veneer, but there we have it. A veneer, and they actually stamp out of that, and that's rolled gold. There's all different versions of plating and all that. You could look it up on the internet if you want to know more about that. But it definitely says that, and sometimes the stamp will actually be on the inside lid, and I've had to open them up because there's no other indicator. But when I felt this, I'm like, oh, it's really nice and heavy, and it's just not the movement of the watch making it heavy. I could just kind of tell. This is a very interesting, very pretty clasp, actually, and this is a fold-over clasp. And on the back of this, it is very clearly stamped 14 karat, nice, clear, beautiful stamp. And you heard that little snap. It's a good clasp. It's a very good clasp. All right, so I think I'll stop here and then probably move on to a different kind of item to show you where to look for the stamps, because there's a lot to know. And this is just a brief overview so that you could get a real idea of where to find those stamps. All right, I guess I'll hopefully see you on the next segment. All right, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.